Well, some breaking news in the Charlie Adelson case. So what's been going on with the Charlie Adelson case, in case you haven't been following everything that's been going on? Well, we know that Charlie Adelson was already convicted for conspiring in the murder of Dan Markel. He was involved in hiring the hitman. That's what the jury found, despite his claim and his story that he was actually being extorted by these individuals. No, so the jury didn't buy that. And now he's going to be serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Well, he filed an appeal, right? That's what all people that are convicted have nothing else to lose. So let's try to make some sort of issue out of some rulings that were made, and they filed an appeal. Well, while the appeal is pending, Donna Adelson now was arrested, and she was charged with also being involved in the conspiracy to hire this hitman to murder Dan Markel, and her trial was coming up. And then what happened? Well, the prosecution added Charlie Adelson on the witness list to be called in Donna Adelson's case. Okay, now who's representing Donna Adelson? Wouldn't you know it, the same attorney, Dan Rashbaum, who was representing Charlie Adelson. Well, that certainly smells like a conflict. Well, officially at the time, throughout this process, the judge was asking Donna Adelson, do you waive the conflict of interest your attorney has with Charlie Adelson to represent you? And every time she waived it. But the question is, did Charlie waive it? Well, if Charlie's not going to be called as a witness, doesn't really matter that much, right? But now that Charlie's going to be called as a witness, well, is Charlie going to waive that conflict of interest now? And that's what happened. The appellate attorneys who are handling Charlie's appeal, they got with Charlie and said, hey, you cannot take the stand now and testify in your mother's case and going to be cross-examined by your former attorney. He's going to know all this juicy stuff about you, and now he can cross-examine you either much more fiercely than a regular attorney does know all that inside information, or maybe he'll be hands-off and it will cause the detriment to Donna Adelson. So there's this conflict issue right now. So the appellate attorney said, we're going to file this motion. And on the day of trial, the day the trial was supposed to begin for Donna Adelson, they had this hearing, and the judge ruled, Judge Everett said, sorry, we got to throw Dan Rashbaum off the case along with the other attorney who appeared on that case. You're all conflicted out. You're not allowed to be representing Donna Adelson. She has to get new attorneys. And she did. She got new attorneys. And now there's a new trial date set for Donna Adelson. Well, what happened then is that in the appeal, so we have this appeal that was filed already for Charlie Adelson. In the appeal, in the appellate court, the appellate attorneys for Charlie Adelson filed a motion to relinquish jurisdiction from the appellate court to send it back to the trial court. So let's just remember the different levels that we're on. There's the trial court level, and then there's the Court of Appeals level, and then there's the Supreme Court. Well, at the trial court level, you can hear different motions about the case, and the appellate level is really strictly for rulings that were made at the trial court level. So now what they wanted to do is that this case right now is in the Court of Appeals, Charlie's case. So what they were asking the Court of Appeals is to put everything on pause. We were asking you to relinquish jurisdiction, meaning two courts cannot have jurisdiction over the same case at the same time. Either the trial court level has it, or the Court of Appeals has it, or the Supreme Court has it. Only one court at a time, okay? Don't just pass it around like a hot potato. So you got to figure out who's got jurisdiction. So at this point, the Court of Appeals has jurisdiction. The appellate attorneys for Charlie Adelson filed a motion to relinquish the jurisdiction. Let the Court of Appeals say, you know what? We are going to put everything on pause. We're going to send it back down to the lower level, the trial court level. And then they wanted to file a motion for a new trial for Charlie Adelson. Why? Because they argued that Dan Rashbaum was already conflicted out and was not able to represent Charlie Adelson during Charlie Adelson's trial. You know why? Because at that same time, he was also representing Donna Adelson. And there was, for some reason, a time where Donna Adelson appeared on a witness list, then came off of a witness list. And you would think that it may help Charlie Adelson's case if Donna Adelson would have testified on behalf of her son to corroborate his story, perhaps. That definitely would have helped him in the defense. Well, why was she taken off the witness list? If the reason why she was taken off the witness list is because Dan Rashbaum was protecting her interests over his client, Charlie Adelson, at the trial, well, then there's a conflict of interest, and it's adversely affecting the lawyer's representation of Charlie Adelson, and therefore they wanted to put ask the Court of Appeals to put everything on pause and send it back to the trial court level so that they can figure out this issue, have an evidentiary hearing, have Dan Rashbaum take the stand, and figure out whether there was actually a conflict of interest that occurred while Dan Rashbaum was supposed to be representing Charlie Adelson. So that's what happened. The state filed a response. We did an entire few videos breaking all the arguments down and all the case law. It's actually very interesting if you want to go check that out, all about these conflict of interest issues and other reasons why attorneys can't represent clients. Definitely an interesting video. But nevertheless, that's where we are right now. So we were waiting to see what is the Court of Appeals going to do with this. Now, it's very important to understand that even though a conflict of interest is a very serious matter, the Court of Appeals does have the discretion to decide whether they're going to relinquish jurisdiction. So they can either decide we are going to relinquish it or not. It's up to them. It's their discretion. There's no law that says in these situations you have to relinquish jurisdiction. There's no such thing. So it's always about a discretion for the appeals. Now, this is a very significant issue because it's a conflict of interest. This is like the beer that goes to the heart of the Sixth Amendment, to being able to effectively assist your client, right? Effective assistance of counsel. So this goes to the heart of the Sixth Amendment. It's a very important issue. And therefore, I was thinking that it could be that this is going to be sent down for an evidentiary hearing. Now, the reason why it makes sense to send it down at this point to an evidentiary hearing, one of the factors that the court should take into consideration is how far along has the appeal gone? Like, did each side file appeal briefs already? Or do we have a schedule for the oral argument? If this is already at the 11th hour and we're about to have oral argument next week, to put everything on pause doesn't make much sense. But if you're at the beginning stages and you're still ordering transcripts and you're still, figuring out what you're going to argue and the time to file briefs hasn't passed yet. So if you're very early on in the stage of the appeal, then it perhaps would make sense to send it back. Why? Because why should we waste all these judicial resources? Why should we waste all the attorney time doing all this research and billing their clients and arguing issues which may not even be relevant, because this conflict of interest issue, since it's a basic fundamental right of the Sixth Amendment, this is going to require a new trial, and therefore it doesn't matter about all these other issues that you're trying to make on the appeal. So let's not waste everyone's time with that. Let's send it back. Let's figure out this issue and then take it up on the appeal. Nevertheless, the Court of Appeals still has discretion. Now, I thought that there's a good chance that they will relinquish jurisdiction. Well, they just came out with an order today. I mean, at least this is when I saw it. So I'm going to pull it up. This is the order right here. District Court of Appeals, First District, Charlie Adelson versus State of Florida. And here we go. By order of the court grants appellant's motion filed October 21st, 2024, and accepts the accompanying reply as authorized. Okay, so what happened, just to understand what this lingo is, there was a motion that was filed by Charlie Adelson's appellate team to be able to file a reply. So the appellants initially file the motion, then the other side, the appellees, they file a response. And in Florida, apparently, you have to get special permission to file a reply to the response. So the appellants, meaning Charlie Adelson's team, they filed a motion that they should be allowed to reply to the state's response. So the judges, the court is saying, yes, you are allowed to do that. We are accepting your reply. But nevertheless, look at what it says. The court denies appellant's motion filed October 16th, 2024, seeking relinquishment of jurisdiction. So here, straight out, as clear as day, the court is denying the motion October 16th that was filed October 16th, which was the motion seeking to relinquish jurisdiction. And here we go. So therefore, what's happening now? What does this mean now for that issue? Okay, so what it means is the following. What it means is that the appeal is going to continue. So the Court of Appeals is choosing, since it is a discretionary, they are choosing not to send this issue down back to the trial court level. They're keeping it in the appeals. They're keeping it in the Court of Appeals. They're going to go through the entire appeal process, which can take a long time. Okay, they're going to keep it there. And then does that mean that Charlie can never raise this issue again? And the answer is no, it does not mean that. He could raise this again after the appeals are exhausted. Okay, so first of all, they can try to bring this up on appeal. There's some law about that, whether they're able to do that on appeal or not. Either way, after the appeals are done, he is able to file a new motion with the court asking them to grant a new trial because of this conflict of interest issue. So the issue is not dead yet. So don't think that, oh, they're denying this motion to relinquish jurisdiction, which means that this issue is dead. The issue is not dead. It just means that the Court of Appeals is choosing to not send it back at this juncture to the trial court level to figure this out. And if they want to continue, meaning if the appeal is not successful, if they didn't bring up any good errors that they found in the record or rulings that Judge Everett made against Charlie Adelson, so if they don't have anything like that and the appeal is denied, then they can refile this type of motion in the trial court level, seeking to have a new trial for Charlie Adelson based on the conflict of interest issue. But you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to be really, really patient before that motion is going to be filed. So you still have a long time before anything gets filed again. So Donna Adelson, maybe her trial may already be concluded, and who knows what's going to happen with Wendy Adelson, the $1 million question everybody wants to know. Is she going to be charged eventually? Who knows? It's been a long time. You would think that maybe if they were planning on doing something, they would have done it already. Nevertheless, they seem to be working very methodically, going through each person. So who knows? Maybe Wendy's not out of the clear yet. But what I'm saying is it's going to still, the issue is still alive, but we're not going to be hearing about it for a good long time. So just wanted to update you on the Charlie Adelson situation. That is going to be it on the Adelson situation. We are still monitoring Donna Adelson's her case, and her trial is upcoming. I think it's in June sometime. So we are still looking at that. So that's going to be it for now. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, like, and we will see you next time.